All right, so I'm pushing it to YouTube now. Just give me a moment. Let me see. Awesome. So he's now on YouTube, which means I can also. All right, since it's on YouTube, I don't have to record. I'm going to stop recording and go back and share my. Going to go back and just share my screen. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. All right, all good. All right, can you see my slide? You should say, what is e-commerce? Is that what you're seeing? Hello, I just need to confirm that what you're seeing on the screen is what is e-commerce.
Yes.
All right, awesome. All right, thank you. So now that I know that you're all here, so what is e-commerce now? Of course, I just want to get your understanding of the term e-commerce, and remember that we are all here to learn. So it does not mean that I expect that you should answer it as a professional. It's just to get your understanding of e-commerce, which will also help us know the things to really cover and go in depth on. So what do you really understand by e-commerce? Anyone wants to share?
E-commerce is electronic commerce.
All right, great. That's basically what it.
Transacting business online over the internet.
Awesome. That is what it is. And if you're joining us on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook or any platform, this is the WooCommerce Lagos meetup, and our topic for today is e-commerce moving from beginner to boss. And our goal is basically to help you master e-commerce. So the first thing we want to look at is what is e-commerce, because we can't be talking about e-commerce or be helping you move from beginner to a boss and you don't know what e-commerce is. So as someone just said, e-commerce is simply electronic commerce. That's just how simple it is. It is the buying and selling of goods and services over the internet. So it's basically the same way you deal with businesses offline. Sorry, if you're not muted, please help me mute yourself. Please help me mute yourself. Thank you. Kufre, can you mute your audio? Thank you. Okay, good. I think I've got that. All right. Okay, so e-commerce is simply the buying and selling of goods and services over the internet. Just like the same way we buy goods and services offline, what makes it e-commerce is when you bring it online and you're doing that, over the internet, then it becomes e-commerce. So for most of you, when you hear the term e-commerce, it sounds like a very big term. Why it is big and broad? Some of you have actually engaged in e-commerce activities, but you've just basically not really been very conscious that it's e-commerce. So if you've ever purchased anything online, you've engaged in e-commerce activities. So it could be shopping on maybe a platform like Amazon, or if you're based in Nigeria, which is where our meetup is holding. If you're based in Nigeria and you've shopped on Jumia, if you shopped on Konga, and I added my website. Sondukatra.com to this, basically because sorry, I'm trying to find out where that noise is coming from so I can mute that user. Please, if you're not muted, just help us mute yourself. Thank you. All right. Okay. I think we've got that sorted out. So if you've ever purchased online, be it on Jumia, be it on Konga, be it on Amazon, you've actually engaged in e-commerce activity. And I added my website on thecafe.com just to help us understand that when we talk about e-commerce, it's not only until you shop on these top platforms that you've. Hi guys, please, if you're not muted, I need you to just help us mute yourself. Until when you're speaking, you can unmute yourself and then just speak, please. Thank you. All right, so I added my website soundthecafe.com just to basically help us understand, like, it doesn't have to happen on these top platforms. It could be on your own personal website. So you could add a functionality. I've seen some people say they are web designers, and people say they are into internet marketing. So you can add a functionality that enables you people to hire you on your website and pay you. Like for instance, one of the functionalities on my website is online booking. You may not see that page because most times I share it privately with people. So there's an online booking functionality. So if you want to book me, maybe you want to have a one-on-one session, and you can see a calendar, and then you can book, and then you can see the available times, which are times that I'm free, and then you can choose which time frame is favorable for you, and then you are going to see the cost for having that 30 minutes or an hour with me, and then you can pay straight up from my website. That is e-commerce. So I added my own personal website to help you understand that you can also integrate e-commerce functionalities on your own website. It doesn't have to happen on a top platform like Amazon, like Konga, like Jumia, for it to be e-commerce. So some of the benefits of e-commerce include these. I had to put buying and selling 247 as number one because that's actually my favorite. Selling offline is nice, but you can't compare it with selling online. You can't compare it with e-commerce because when you move from offline to online, what you have basically done is you've made your business open 247. So that basically means at any time of the day, people can patronize you. And e-commerce also gives you a wider customer reach, because when you are selling online, you are selling to a global audience, except you have a product that has a specific target audience. But when you're selling online, it actually gives you access to a wider customer reach. And there's also a faster selling and buying process when it has to do with e-commerce. So let's say I want to buy a pair of shoes. I can go to an online platform, or I could find a seller on Facebook or somewhere, and then I can easily buy it. If I want to buy a pair of shoes right now, it means I have to start thinking about going out, and then I either have to maybe drive out, or maybe book Uber, or jump on a bike, and then I will probably spend about 30 minutes to get to a shop, which is also risky, because whenever you're on the road, you're actually going through certain risks, because accidents happen and some other unforeseen things happen. So e-commerce facilitates a faster selling and buying process. And then it also has low operational costs. And I normally would like to point out that when we say it has low operational costs, it does not mean that we don't have stores, that millions of dollars or of naira are being pumped in. But what that basically means is that if I decide that I want to sell this phone, I want to be selling phones online, and you decide that I want to be selling phones offline, it will be easier for me that is selling online, in the sense that you that is selling offline, you are going to have to, rent a shop, furnish it, have a salesperson, and so on. But someone that is selling online just needs to get someone to set up their store, have the product, add the cost, and once people order, they can get it shipped, shipped across to, to them. So it has low operational cost. And customers can also select through a variety of products without moving around physically. And now, when we talk about that, one of the things people are wondering is being able to, really see the products and all that. And I think there's been technologies that have been helping with that. I know there are some shops that use what are they called, 3D images that you can basically see all angles and areas of the product. And where we are going to now, which is one area I'm passionate about, the metaverse. The way e-commerce is also going to move to the metaverse, and it's going to be really interesting because you're going to be able to sit at the comfort of your house, and then you want to buy this phone, and then you can literally pick it up, and then you can hold it and then turn it around and see it, and all of that is going to actually happen virtually. All right. So e-commerce businesses are also easy to start, and e-commerce also makes it easy to start and manage a business. And when we say something is easy, we also need to understand that basically, and virtually everything in life has a learning curve, has a learning process. So when we say it's easy to start, it's not magic. While it's easy to start, it's also involves a little learning curve. But compared to managing a physical business, we can say with e-commerce, it's easy to start, and manage a business, because in most times the tools are there. For instance, if you're selling your product on an e-commerce platform, the platform in most times could have an analytics feature that helps you to see, how many products have I sold. Some of them even have an option to put the cost that you bought the product, and then at the end of the day, you just see analytics for what you sold for your profit. But if you're doing that physically, you have to take inventory, physically the old-fashioned way, write them down, log them down somehow. But on an e-commerce platform, that is like automated for you. Okay. Of course, we also have to cover some disadvantages of e-commerce, to be fair. So it only because we are for e-commerce, we are also not telling you of the disadvantages of e-commerce. So e-commerce, like every other thing, also has some disadvantages, and it includes the one of it is that you're unable to examine the products physically, which results in what we call in Nigeria what you ordered versus what you got. When you okay, I think using clothes would be a good example to use. Maybe you ordered for something to be sewn for you, maybe like a dress, and then that comparison that people do on Facebook, they ordered for this particular clothes and this other one was delivered to them. So it happened. But at the end of the day, it's people like you and I who are doing that. So that basically tells you, sell the original product that that you put up to people, send the original product that you put up to people. All right. One of the disadvantage. Sorry, let me find who that is and mute them. Forgive me. This is one of the things we had to deal with when we are doing events on Zoom. So please, if you just join in, help us, just mute yourself so everyone can, listen in. So not everyone is connected to the internet. I think as at current data shows that 50% of Nigerians are on the internet. So okay, that there's not are on the internet. That is wrong. Nigeria has 50% internet penetration, where that basically means that internet coverage has basically reached 50% of the Nigerian geography population. I think that's the word. So Nigeria has basically been able to achieve 50% internet coverage, which is good enough when you look at how big Nigeria is and when you look at the population itself. All right. And one of the disadvantages is security, most especially in the early days of e-commerce. People were super scared to, input their credit card online to shop because they were scared of credit card theft, which is rare these days, basically because we have payment processors, like Stripe, like PayStop, are in charge of this process. So now, even if you have someone's, so now when you shop online and you input your credit card, even the owners of the platforms cannot actually see the credit card itself. So the credit cards are encrypted, that even if someone should even hack the site, you cannot even access that information. But that doesn't mean that most people don't currently have security issues online in general, and on e-commerce platforms we still do. Okay, so the next one is technical failures, which is really important that you take note of. So there are still technical failures. For instance, web hosting could be down, and web hosting could be down. There could be conflict on the site. There could be some technical issues on the site itself. So that happens. So of course you can prevent that by also making sure that you have professionals managing your site for you, or that you learn, you move to where you can say you're a boss. And where you can say you're a boss is that you understand the things that one needs to do. And when we say understanding things that one needs to do, it does not mean substitution. It does not necessarily mean you doing these things themselves. You are doing these things yourself, but you know that these are the things that I need to do. And if they're not things you can do by your own, you can do on your own or by yourself, you get people who can actually do these things to do them for you. All right. Okay, so e-commerce processes. So one of the things I want to share with you is e-commerce processes, because you can't move from a beginner to boss and not really understand e-commerce processes. So how does it work? Can someone share in your own experience? How does it work? How does buying online? How does it work? What's the process like? Anyone wants to share? Anyone? Okay, you've shopped online before. I don't know if there's anyone who has shopped online before. I think it should be all of us. How did it go? What was the process? Do you want to share?
Okay, I think I'd like to share.
Great.
Yes. So simply going on to the platform, the website that offers the product I am interested in, and then looking at the description of the product, the availability of that particular product, and the quantity available. And the next step is to add it to my cart, to the cart. That is, if I want to actually get it at the moment, then from my cart, I proceed to checking out. That you ask me for my details and everything, and then I proceed to making my payment, where I'm given an option to either pay with my card or I do a transfer. And
Great.
after that, the purchase is made successful. And I get notification on my email that I've made this order and it's being processed.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. And that's basically how it is. So let's look at what I have here. Order placed by user. So which like Enekan said, it goes to an e-commerce platform, which could be a website, and then it sees the different products they have, and then it places an order for them. So once he places an order by adding the product to cart, and then the next thing, the product is just going to go into their shopping cart, which is the equivalent of you going to supermarket and then just picking stuff and then putting in your physical cart. So on an e-commerce platform, once you add products to cart, you can also just check your cart and then see the products that are in your cart. And just like offline, you can remove products from your cart and you can add products to your cart. On an e-commerce platform, you can also do that. So you can also, check your cart and see the products you've added. You can remove them. You can add more products. And credit card is charged. Once you add items to your card, you proceed, you check out, credit card is charged. Now, just to go back a bit, I'm covering this e-commerce process because one of the keys to mastering e-commerce is understanding the e-commerce process. That also helps you troubleshoot technical issues on an e-commerce store, because you understand this is how the process is supposed to be. And when one process misses, you know that, oh, this something is wrong and something is wrong at this stage. So that also helps you in troubleshooting. So order is placed, the order goes to the shopping cart. From shopping cart, you proceed to checking out, which means you have to take into consideration payment. You put your card or any other forms of payment you want to use, and you're charged. And then the order is completed, and then a confirmation email is sent to the customer. Now, depending on the seller, some of them will send the order to a warehouse for fulfillment. Some people pick it up themselves and then just send it to the shipping company. So depending on the company or the individual selling, the process differs. So the shipping carrier or the shipping company picks up the shipment, and of course delivers it to the user who ordered the product. Shipment is sent to the customer. All right, great. So something else to look at is e-commerce models. So there are different types of e-commerce business models, and I'm going to be breaking down a few of them, because when you are an e-commerce expert, or if your goal is to be an e-commerce boss, you also have to understand the different e-commerce business models that are available, which will also help you to be able to choose one. And when you're also trying to guide a client who wants to sell online, you also be able to, guide them to choose the right model. Or when they are discussing with you, you're just going to automatically know what types of what type of e-commerce business model they are, trying to follow. So e-commerce business model, the model is commonly categorized using the type of customer, which you're going to be seeing soon. So it could be B2C, which is simply business to consumer. And this is simply when businesses sell to individuals like you and I. That's called business to consumer. So for instance, a business will have their own online store. It could be a business, maybe like, let's say maybe Nike, they could have their own online store, and then you go to their store and then you buy from their store, and then it gets delivered to you. So when you're buying from a business, that's known as B2C e-commerce, which is simply business to consumer. And another popular model is business to business. That's simply when businesses are selling to other businesses. A good example would be a platform like Amazon Cloud, like Google Cloud. So Google is a business, and then they have the cloud platforms, and then they are selling to other businesses. It could be a company like Host, that is a web hosting company offering different hosting plans. And some of us, we run our e-commerce businesses, registered businesses, and then we are buying those hosting plans for our businesses or for other businesses. So that's business to business, when a business, is offering services or products to other businesses. And we have B2G, which is business to government, when a business sells to government departments and agencies. I think one of the e-commerce platforms, which for now is a fintech platform, an online payment platform that I know that they do, I see them mostly in the business to government model, is what are they called? There's this payment platform. I can't remember their name, but I'm sure some of you are going to remember them. So when you want to do most of those government payments, there's Remitter. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't really seem to see Remitter on regular platform, like users platform, like platform belonging to you and I, to ordinary businesses. I normally will see them on government integrations. So let's say you want to pay for passport, or you want to pay for CAC filing, you want to register a business name, a company, you're going to see Remitter being used. And maybe school fees, maybe federal universities and so on. I've noticed that when it has to do with government stuff, you notice that the online payment platform integrated is Remita. How many of us have noticed that? I don't know if the other people have noticed that it's always them. So I don't know the kind of partnership that they have with government. But
I think if I can come in, Mr. Kafia.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Ebenezer. Right. From my own understanding, Remita is a government digital tool for receiving payments. Just for receiving payments.
Yeah, but it's not owned by the government, is it?
Well, the government did not own up that, they own it. Actually, every payment made to the accounts is to one account called the TSA.
Okay. Yeah, because I know
Remita accounts.
I know Remita as a company, but one of the things I've noticed about them, one outstanding thing is that their business model seems to be B2G, so business to government. They just seem to deal with government. I don't see them like I know I've not seen them before, like on an ordinary platform that is not a government platform.
Yeah, no private individual is using them. No private individual is using Remita, just for the government to receive payments, tax revenue, and as long as the payment you are making to the federal government, it goes to Remita for whatever reason. I don't know the
all right. I think this is going to be interesting because I've seen Abdullah just raise his hand. So Abdullah, you want to add to that?
Okay. Good afternoon.
Hi.
I just joined and okay. But Remita is actually privately owned by an individual. It's not a government agency. They only they actually serve as a gateway for payments.
All right. So can we say that business model is business to government? Would we be right to say that?
Actually, they were not business to government. They just got into government through Remita.
So we can say that Remita is business to government. So
it's more of a business to business. Actually, it's more of business to business.
Okay. So which business do you know that they are offering service to?
Oh, they actually offer services to, there's this particular company that they started off with, which actually gave them a connection to now do the payment gateway for government.
Oh, okay.
Because I've actually been in a training with the owner of Remita, who actually gave us their company history and how they got into government and all that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Abdullah. Let's let someone else contribute. I've seen Tunde's hand. Tunde, hi.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Before I leave, I think we can categorize it as a blend of both B2C and B2C and B2B. Because even as an individual, you want to renew your driver's license. You pay through that platform as an individual.
Okay.
Federal Road Safety fines you, issues you a ticket. That is when you pay
which
the
you
money.
are paying to the federal government now. So
you get it. So it's cut across both business and
but from what you said, that does not talk about business and customer. That talks about fees that you have to pay to government. So it seems like their primary target audience is like government. So they are not telling users like you come and use us. They are telling government come and use us.
Even people who have children in federal government colleges, that's where they pay fees now. As of this term, they just integrated even their PTA levies that they pay to the school, which usually was not paid directly to federal government before, has been integrated on the school's website that it must pass through Remita to the government.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go next? So we can run away from B2G, since B2G is bringing a lot of
I would like to mention that I want to go with the last person that said is a blend of government, B2G and B2B, because I myself have designed a website, a platform that a client specifically requested for that payment platform, though it wasn't integrated. It wasn't integrated directly on the website, but the process where clients the payment process. It's what they call it, a real estate website
Okay.
that clients make payments for rentals, for rents and all that in advance. So they have these so many features integrated that they even help you get your money monthly by automatic charges and all that. And
All right.
also,
Thank you.
just as mentioned now, I've experienced a fine being given by the FRSC directly for an expired fire extinguisher, and I had to use the remitter payments to offset my fine before getting my driver's license. So
Yeah, but I want to
that's a
clarify
first
something.
hand.
When you use that platform to offset your fine, it does not count as business to consumer because you are not the target audience. You're not. Yeah,
Yes,
the
yes,
customer
yes,
there is
yes.
basically the government. You're paying a government
The
fine.
government. Yes, yes. But
Exactly.
how about the clients I told you
Yeah,
about
that works.
that
That works as
requested? So it's
B2B.
just like a blend. Yeah, it's a blend. It's a blend of both.
Yeah, with that in mind, it's also important to clarify that some e-commerce platforms don't necessarily use one e-commerce business model. So when we talk about e-commerce
Yes.
business model,
True.
it does not mean that you have to choose one. You find out you can
One. Yes.
you can use one, you can use two, you can use three. So some platforms, have a mix of one or two, three e-commerce business models. So
Yeah,
if you've
Sonny, can I say
spoken,
something? Can I say something?
please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, once again. So I think for me, I just feel that Remitter has just carved a niche for themselves. One, they are very robust, and well, the in one of the banks I was privileged to work with, each time we want to do direct debit, we always route it through Remitter. And so if banks are using them, so that means they are.
Did we lose you? Are you here? Oh, I think we lost him. So when he's back,
Dealing with their B2B. I owned a computer training academy. So we were, each time we need to do registration for a particular private school, St. Louis Academy in Jos. They have the payment gateway they use is Remitter. So so for me, I would say that Remitter, they are robust enough and they just carve their needs. They don't want to deal with individuals. Limited liability companies or NGOs. So if you don't fall within limited liability company, that is the list. So public limited liability companies or an NGO, you are not likely to be on their platform. You are out of their dragnet. So that is how they just carve a niche for themselves, and they are not begging for you to say they want to come and. So there's market already. People are even begging to be on their platform. So they are not dragging to say we want all of these small businesses to come and be on the platform. So they don't do B2C. They just do business to business, and business to business can be government as an establishment, established private schools or NGOs.
All right, thank you. We have to move on. Sorry, I know I'm seeing other hands, but we have to move on because of time. Please forgive me. All right, but one thing I like with this is that we understand the concept of the e-commerce business models, and then we also, from our discussions, we've all come to the realization that a business may not necessarily, or an e-commerce platform rather, may not necessarily adopt one of these e-commerce models. It could be a mix of 2, 3, or more. Like for instance, people have given some examples, Remitter, that they deal with businesses and then they also deal with government. So their business model is B2B and B2G, which we all agree on. Thank you so much. So let's move on. So we also have consumer to business, where consumers sell to companies. I think a good use case or a good example of that would be, would be influencers, when businesses are using influencers, or when influencers, are selling services, helping government, helping businesses, promote their products and services. Another good example would be photographers. For instance, when photographers sell rights to their work, or artists sell rights to their work or to their photography to, businesses. So someone takes a nice photo, and sell that photo to a particular business. That's a consumer, selling to a company. So that's known as C2B, consumer to business. And then we also have C2C, which is consumer to consumer. When you and I are patronizing each other, when I'm selling to you and you are selling to me. For instance, you go to gg.ng and then you list that you have a phone for sale, or you have a plot of land for sale, and I'm interested in that land, and you put it up for sale, and then I buy it from you. I just contact you from GG, and then I buy it. That's consumer to consumer, which is simply individual selling to each other. And in most cases, they take advantage of marketplaces. It could be Facebook Marketplace, it could be eBay, or it could be gg.ng, which most of us in Nigeria are familiar with. All right, so e-commerce is big, and it's broad. So I want to share some examples of e-commerce, which some people also call forms of e-commerce. So these are some examples of e-commerce. Retail. I think retail is what most of us really know. Online retailing is what most of us really consider e-commerce. And when we talk about online retail, or when we talk about retail, it's simply the sale of a product by a business directly to customer without any intermediary. So there's no third party involved. So that's what we call retail. So let's say you build an online store for a business, a client, and they're using that store to sell their products. Or when a physical business decides to move online, and then they put their products online on their website, and then they are selling it directly to customers without using marketplaces and all that. That's known as retail, which is also known as online retailing, but it's an aspect of e-commerce. Okay, so another example of e-commerce is wholesale, which is one area I'm actually quite interested and fascinated with, where you could have an e-commerce platform that basically sells deals with wholesale products. So people can come and see shoes, you can see phones, but there's a limit to the quantity that they can buy. So they have to buy maybe like 10, they have to buy like 20. And your target audience are simply maybe like businesses, or it could be individuals who can buy large scale, basically to resell. Okay, and it could be drop shipping, which is selling products that you don't necessarily own. The products are manufactured, and shipped to the third party. So let's say, for instance, I want to be selling shoes, but I don't have the money to buy those shoes. I could drop ship them, which means drop shipping is like being in partnership with the manufacturers of the shoe, and there's an integration that allows you to sync their products or products from other e-commerce platforms to your own e-commerce site, and you sell those products. And when people order those products on your own site, and those the other parties involved, the platform involved, the third party you're dropshipping from, basically packages those products and sell to your customer. And then where you earn profit is the price difference between what the original price is, which the individual buying would not know. The price difference is now your profit. And one e-commerce example or type is crowdfunding, where I'm sure most of us have seen it. I think it has actually been invoked lately. So when people try to raise funds for different stuff when, other people have to get involved when you're trying to raise funds. It could be for a business, it could be for a course, and you're using an online platform to do that. That is crowdfunding. And then there's another one which I really love, which is subscription business model. I'm actually in love with this because this allows you to actually earn recurring revenue. This could be people subscribing to your service. It could be people subscribing to a product. So it could be someone could know that they need it could be that someone knows that they need amper, or that they need to have flowers or teacups or anything. They know that they need maybe one every year or every 3 months. They subscribe to your product or to service, and maybe every 3 months or every year that service or product is delivered to them. That's the subscription business model. And then there's also physical products where people can sell different stuff. It could be selling clothes, and then people can get to choose between the color that they prefer, the size that they prefer, or whatever variation or of the product that it is that you want to offer. And another interesting one is the sales of digital products, which people could order. Maybe digital products, it could be templates, it could be courses, it could be ebooks, and so on. Basically, any digital products you can think of, and people can just come and purchase it on your e-commerce platform. And another very interesting one is freemium type, where people, if you're in the WordPress ecosystem, you know about the freemium products model, where people offer, in most cases in the WordPress ecosystem, is freemium digital products, where you are being given access to a product for free, and then you use it, and then they tell you if you need access to more features, upgrade to the premium version. So that's called the freemium business model, where you are given certain features for free and you need to upgrade to access more functionalities, like what Canva is doing, that everyone can get in on Canva, but there are templates that you try to use, features you try to use, and then they tell you you have to upgrade. And something else that we don't think of when we think about e-commerce is services. That basically means that whatever it is that you do as a designer, as a content creator, if you're thinking e-commerce, you can actually leverage, on that. And that basically means people can, book you on your website. They can go to your website, see the different services you offer. They can subscribe to those services. They can pay you for those services online. So you can have like maybe what I would call probably a back office, an online office that, allow people to simply, book consultation, pay you, subscribe to your services easily. So I'm just emphasizing on that because most time when we think about e-commerce, most of us just think about physical products, but it moves to digital products, it moves on to, services. All right. So let me just move up quickly because of time. Keys to a successful e-commerce business. Now, if you want to be and want to master e-commerce, become a boss, it's very important to know some of these keys, and one of them is audience, understanding your target audience. So one of the key questions you have to ask yourself, or you're working with clients, is who's your target audience? And that's very important, even if you're a designer, you're a developer, because depending on the target audience, the design of your website has to reflect the target audience. For instance, an e-commerce site that is meant for teenagers, that is meant for, young people, it's something, you have to know what do they like. Do they like colors? What are they, how should it look? It cannot look like a website that you're designing for adults, maybe very old people that, are not really interested in fancy stuff. They just want to be able to buy as simple as possible. They may not even care about the design and all that. There are clients that you see, they tell you this is what they want because they are from certain generation, and in their own generation, they don't really care about some of the things we care about. So they just want something very simple. The functionality is working and all that. So you have to know who's your target audience when you're selling online, or when you want to get into e-commerce, who's your target audience, because that knowing your target audience, is one of the keys, to a successful e-commerce business. It's also going to help you to know who you're marketing to, the type of product that you'll be selling, and so on. So one of the key things is understanding your audience, who is your target audience, is something that you have, to be able to define before you get started. And if you're building, if you're helping people get into e-commerce or set up an e-commerce store or e-commerce platform or an online store, you have to really understand who their target audience is. And you also have to understand what problem will you be solving? What problem is your client trying to solve? Because at times people just try to get into a certain business and they really don't understand the problem that they are trying to solve. Like for instance, when Jumia came in, they understand what problem they were trying to solve. They were trying to make it easy for people to buy and sell online, and then they basically focus on solving that problem. So what problem will you be solving? Are you trying to reduce the time it takes for people to get a certain goods? What is the main problem you're trying to solve? So you have to really be able to define the problem your e-commerce platform will be solving. So for instance, I could decide to integrate e-commerce on my website, and the problem I want to solve, one of the problems could some of the problem could be for me, some of them could be for a client. For me, I want to solve the problem of maybe customer wants to book me, and we have to now be discussing, when are you free? When can we do that? If I have a booking system on my website, they can just go there and then they can see the time that I'm free, and they can also see the time frames, and then look at their own schedule and then look at when are they free, and then they can easily book. And then they'll solve another problem of sending me your account details. They just check out, and then they're able to pay, and the money goes to me. Right? I still get it. And then another way it helps me is that instead of having to bargain, so I said, let's do I said, oh, okay, if you want to book this consultancy, pay me 50K. And they're like, no, we can't pay 50K. I'm going to pay you 20K. If they're booking you online on your website, they're not going to see an option, except you want to make it available. They're not going to see an option for bargain. They're just going to see a fixed price, 50K, and they have no choice than to select that 50K. So it's a two-way thing. So it sells me one of the problems it's solving for me is that it sells me that time, that back and forth with negotiating with customers. So they just come see all prices for the different stuff I do. And anytime you're like, how much is this? I was like, oh, check this link, you can see prices for all the different services I offer. So it saves me time I would have used for all those back and forth. So product, it's really important to know what product will you be selling. You can't get online to sell, or you can get involved in e-commerce and not know what product you'll be selling. And even if you're building for a customer or for a client, it's important to know what products they will be selling, because depending on the product you'll be selling, that is also going to help determine, the design of the store. It's also going to help determine what will be the size of the product image, because you also want to, for instance, if I'm building a store that the customer is selling book, I'm going to want to make the product images bigger. So instead of showing maybe 10 products, or maybe having 5 rows, 5 columns that shows that, I may want to reduce it to 3 and then make the featured image bigger. So it's like a book cover, so people can really read the caption of the book. Well, that's if it's like for maybe like a publishing house that have several books, basically because I want people to be able to see those thumbnails well and be able to read the book titles and captions properly. So what product will you be selling? It's important to understand that as an individual, as a business, what product will you be selling before you get started. Now, one of the things people don't think of is that there are legal requirements. So when you're getting online to sell, and for instance, you're looking at selling as a business, or you're looking at selling certain products, you have to know, is registration required? It's like waking up and then building a website and then you start selling pharmaceutical products. You have to check if there are certain legal requirements. Are you required to be a pharmacist before you offer prescriptions online? Yeah, because when you are doing it online does not mean that it's not governed by certain laws. Now, there are taxes on products. Most times that I go out to eat, at E3s. I pay taxes. I think the charge, the tax is 7.5%. And most of us, we don't know that for some products that we sell, that we're actually required, to pay taxes, some of those products. So you have to know these things. What product are you selling? What are the legal requirements, for the type of e-commerce platforms you try to sell? I think I've seen people from the community who have had difficulties working with some clients. Someone was singing for us. Thank you. We'll get to that later. So I've worked with some people in the community who had difficulty integrating payment gateway, basically because the type of products the customer is selling, has certain restrictions, by payment gateway. So you have to know what type of product are you selling, what payment gateway supports that type of product, because there are some products you want to sell and you are going to see some very tight restrictions on those products that makes it difficult to, find a payment gateway to use. All right. All right. So something very important you have to think of is payment. Very important. How will customers pay? Do you want to do payment on delivery? Do you have the resources required for that? Do you want people to pay and then have those products shipped to them? But you have to know that a key part of e-commerce is that most of the transaction is happening, is that it's happening online. But in e-commerce does not necessarily mean that all the process happens online. So what I'm trying to say is that someone may make an order online and pay you offline or on delivery, and it still counts as e-commerce. So payment, you have to think about it. How will customers pay? Do you want them to input their credit card? The other payment gateways now, that payment integration that requires them to, they just get a notification from their app, put in OTP, or pay directly from their, their bank without having to type in their card and so on. Okay, so I'm just going to pause because I'm seeing one hand here. So Tayo, what do you have to say?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So just like you were talking about the payments aspects, notice that it's not just me. A few persons, they actually met me concerning this because in the aspect of payment, actually, there had been a lot of issues. First of all, is the aspect of getting international payments. That's been like a horse. I don't know how to put it. I still have like a particular client now that we are having issues just trying to work out that international aspect of payment. So why is it so difficult that working international payment is more like a problem? I don't know if it's just me or
okay. What's the client? What's the target audience for the platform? The site. What's the target audience?
Well, the target audience is that, okay, not just Africans, but internationally, they should be able to buy products on that platform. The client sells about products. So we've been going back and forth then on how we can get the platform to start paying.
So the primary target audience is not Nigeria. That's what you're saying,
it's
right?
Not just Nigerians. As in Nigeria too is part of it, and the whole world too can buy directly. Can buy in dollars, can buy in euros, can buy in pounds. Then also Nigerian market too can also buy.
Okay, let me just quickly touch that, even though payments is not our topic for today. Why I'm touching that is that when being in the community, I've basically noticed that sometimes people just give themselves a headache trying to integrate international payment platforms. I mean, there was a time that those were the only available option, but now that we have platforms like Paystack that you can easily integrate, and people from anywhere in the world can pay with, I think it's not really a time to really bother ourselves with online with international payment platform, in the sense that if you integrate Paystack, our local payment gateways, people can also use it to pay from anywhere, and the conversion is going to happen automatically. So be it that they are, so even if their card is domiciled in pounds, in dollars, they can pay, and you're just going to get the Naira equivalent. The conversion is going to happen automatically. And even if what you want to do is to make it so that they want to see, the international audience. You want them to see the currency in their own country's currency. You can also do that, and then you are still using the local payment gateway. I just wanted to touch that a bit because it's actually possible, but it's also easy to integrate foreign platforms. I think some of them support Nigeria, others don't. But if you know that you're trying to run an international company, you also have to look at the legal requirement for those locations you want to sell to. So you want to sell to the US. What have you done regarding tax? Because there are certain taxes that you also have to pay. So what have you thought of? Because if you've thought of that, the legal requirement for that location, it means that your business would have considered registering or would be registered in that location. And if your business is registered in that location, if you have a registered business in US, you can integrate any international payment platform. You can integrate Stripe, you can integrate PayPal, because you can use that your business did information to sign up on PayPal, to sign up on Stripe, and you'll be able to integrate them into your website. So I just wanted to quickly touch that, and then we can move forward. We are going to do another meetup on payments, where I'm going to really focus on payment and walk us through payments, because I'm going to be honest with you, in the community, I've seen firsthand that some of us, we complicate this payment stuff. Now, for me, payment is not really much of a problem again in e-commerce in Africa, because some companies have stepped up and have really, helped, solve that problem. And now we even have options to choose. When I started out, I think VoguePay was literally the only one that people knew. And then now we have people like companies like Paystack and others who have jumped in. Okay, so let's move forward. How will customers pay? So you have to think of how will customers pay. Are you looking to integrate Paystack? Are you looking like giants? And talking about Paystack, it's really not too different from Stripe again, because if Stripe has taken over the company, I think even before now, Paystack has also been leveraging on Stripe technology to some extent to process payment. And now Paystack is more like the Stripe, of Africa, which means there's really no need bothering ourselves with Stripe, except there are certain features you want to take advantage of, or certain demographics you want to cover, and then that these people, they're comfortable with Stripe. Okay, shipping, very important. When I talk of e-commerce, shipping is important. When you are doing e-commerce, one of the major things is payment, and another very important thing is shipping. How will I get my products across? Something you have to think of. So shipping. So do you want to partner with a shipping company? Which shipping company are you comfortable with using? What's the duration of delivery? You have to take all that into consideration. So you have to look at your product, and then you have to also, looking at your type of product, you also determine what shipping platform will be, will be proper, will be appropriate for you. Okay. Let's go forward. Platform. What platform will you sell on? I think I want to come back and cover this platform because it's really important. So let me just pass that and then come back to it. So, okay, I'm seeing a hand. Let me allow. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. You are talking about payments. It just occurred to me to ask a question about this short code with mobile phone. Is there any platform or any method that one can integrate it into the site for online payments, so that people that want to pay, to just press star whatever star what action and pay? Are you aware of any platform that somebody can connect?
I think even Paystack has a feature like that, yeah?
Okay, some Paystack. Okay.
Yes, Paystack has that.
Good.
Yeah, Paystack has to have that feature.
Okay,
all right, let's move forward.
Thank you.
All right, let's move forward. Analytics. So how will you keep track of things? It's also very important that to think of how you're going to keep track of things. Then Give me a moment. Let me check the chat. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing some questions in the chat. I'm going to go back to the analytics. How will I keep track of things? Do you want to integrate Google Analytics on the platform? And even the e-commerce platform you're using, what are the available, analytics feature? Because you have to be able to keep track of things. If you're doing e-commerce and then you're not really able to keep track of things, it's a problem. And it's why I'm not really a big fan of e-commerce that happens on on Facebook pages, on personal profiles, because you really are not able to keep track of things. You have to literally do a lot of things either offline, or you have to create a system that helps you keep track of things. But if you have your store that you have all those products on, and then you are advertising on Facebook, and someone asks, "Oh, why can I order?" You send a link, they go to your site and buy. You have to easily keep track of things, and also get customer data, which you can also use to do follow-up and a bit of marketing. So support, how do you intend to create happy customers? How do you intend to create happiness for your customers? Because it's not really about having an e-commerce platform that you're selling and all that, and doing marketing, doing all the stuff. It's very important to think about support. Yeah, marketing is how will people find my products? That's one of the things people don't think of. So they put an online store up, they put an e-commerce platform up, and then they expect that customers are just going to pop in from nowhere. You have to think about your marketing strategy, from search engine optimization to pay-per-click, to social media marketing, like on Facebook, like on Instagram, Twitter, and the rest. You have to think about how will people find my product. I think if you are able to master these keys to a successful e-commerce business, if you look at this and you think about this critically and you figure out all these, then I believe you can move to where you can say that you're no longer a beginner in e-commerce. You can move to where you can call yourself a boss. You can truly answer all these questions. All right, so I'm going to be talking about platform. Let's focus. Okay, let's focus on platform a bit. And for platform, my preferred e-commerce platform is WooCommerce. And I'm probably, some of you will feel like I'm probably being a bit biased, since this is WooCommerce meetup. But you have to know that the decision to go with WooCommerce did not start today. It started about probably up to 10 years now. It started a long time ago. I wanted to, learn e-commerce. It's first of all started when I wanted to learn web design, and I had to do research and choose a platform, and I choose WordPress. And I also had to make that decision for an e-commerce platform, and then I also choose WooCommerce. And I'm going to be sharing why I choose WooCommerce and why I feel WooCommerce is the best platform to have your e-commerce platform or site. Okay, so Temitayo has raised his hand again, so I'm just going to let him go, and then I'm going to.
Okay, just a quick one. You are saying it as if there is another platform that can actually replace WooCommerce, or there is another platform that is just like WooCommerce. Because me, I don't actually see the other platform that is like WooCommerce again that can enable this kind of features.
Yeah, they actually tons.
There are others.
Really?
There are actually tons of e-commerce.
Yes,
platforms.
There are many.
Wow, I didn't know. I've only known WooCommerce all my life.
There are several e-commerce platforms.
I've only known WooCommerce all my life.
Go ahead.
I've only known WooCommerce all my life.
Yeah, so there are tons of other platforms. WooCommerce is just one of the best out there, and it's just one of the really popular ones, most especially in this part of the globe too. All right. So for those of you who don't know what WooCommerce is, WooCommerce is simply a flexible open source e-commerce solutions on WordPress. So that means that for you to use WooCommerce, you have to be on WordPress, because WooCommerce is built on WordPress and is built for WordPress. So those of us in the WordPress ecosystem, for most of us, WooCommerce is simply how you do e-commerce on WordPress. It doesn't mean that here that we don't have other options even on WordPress, but WooCommerce is just the most popular. And even when we talk about WooCommerce being built on WordPress, or how you do e-commerce on WordPress, it has grown to become the most popular e-commerce platform on the web, and it has more market share, I believe, than any other e-commerce platform. Okay, so one of the key reasons I like e-commerce is that it's completely customizable and is used by entrepreneurs and e-commerce merchants worldwide. All right, so why WooCommerce, which is a very important question to ask, and if you're curious about, and it's like I said before, is built on WordPress, and WordPress has a very large ecosystem. It has a large community. So that for me is one of the key reasons why WooCommerce, because it's built on WordPress. And in most cases, if you're selling online, or you decide to get into e-commerce and start selling online on your own, create an e-commerce platform, you are going to find that at some point you're going to want to maybe have a blog or have other sections on your e-commerce platform. And if you are selling on WooCommerce, which is already on WordPress, that makes things easier, because some people who are not using platform like WooCommerce, where they want to integrate other stuff, maybe for instance, when they want to start blogging, you find out that they have to maybe do another installation and then install WordPress. So instead of that, why not use a platform that is flexible, customizable, and is going to allow you to easily adjust and integrate other functionalities. So for me, the key reason is that it's built on WordPress, and WooCommerce allows you to sell anything. So be it physical product, be it digital product. In fact, when I was talking about examples of e-commerce, all the different types, all the different examples I shared, you can do all of them on WooCommerce. And the good news is that they're actually really easy to do on WooCommerce. And remember I said when we started out, our goal is to help you master e-commerce in 2022. And one of the things I believe is that if you master WooCommerce, I believe you've mastered e-commerce. And in the course of the year, I'm going to be sharing with us the different things we can do with WooCommerce, from selling, physical products, to selling digital products like subscriptions, to bookings, courses. I'm going to be showing us how we can do that with WooCommerce. So we're going to have different meetups, and then I'm going to be showing us how we can do different things with WooCommerce. And if you want to really master e-commerce this year, I really advise that you don't miss out on our meetups. All right. So there's basically no limit. I normally would like to say that your only limitation with WooCommerce is basically your imagination, because WooCommerce is on its own, is open source. One of the things that means is that you have free access to the code, you have free access to modify anything. So that basically means if you don't like how this is, you can modify it. If you feel, oh, this is not enough, I want an external feature, you have access to the code itself to easily adjust and add stuff. But other platforms that we call maybe like proprietary platforms, they don't give you that access. You only have access to the features that they offer. And so that's basically it. There's no limit. And if statistics and numbers and the people using a platform is important to you, like it is to me, you should know that it's the #1 e-commerce platform globally. And then you can do a Google search to view some data, basically to help you confirm that. And my best part about any product is the community. And WooCommerce has a worldwide community. That means that if you step out of here and go to other parts of the world, you're going to see people who are using WooCommerce. And then you can also join maybe like physical WooCommerce meetups. And if you're having challenges, you can get hands-on help at those meetups. All right. Okay. I think this is the end of my slide, and I normally like to give credits to some places that I find some resources and data to use. So SlideShare and Influencer Marketing Hub, I got a few points to add to this. All right. So I think we'll just move to the question and answer session. So if you have questions that you like to ask, I think we Our time is up, and it's why I had to rush a bit. But if you have questions and answers, if you have questions, I can spend some minutes to answer your questions. So questions. Okay, anyone ask questions?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you for I think this is the first remote meetup I've been able to attend. All others have been missing them since like 2019. Even the physical one, I've not been able to. So I don't know when or how, what is the plan for doing hands-on you get hands-on on the WooCommerce itself, probably to put one through on some of the basics.
When you say
and how to
hands-on, is your
do
definition of
what-
hands-on? Is your definition of
Like
hands-on physical meetups, or do you mean?
No, it can also be virtual like this. Probably, okay, today we want to talk about how to do payments gateway integration, something like that. Okay, this is how to do this. You get now.
I think for this year, we are just going to have just 2 meetups that are not going to be hands-on. 2 meetups that we are just going to walk people through the concepts, which is going to be, I think this and probably the next one, which is going to be a big meetup that we are doing. I think after that, the rest is going to be hands-on, where we are basically just building like we've been doing over the years.
Okay.
So I can guarantee you that if you attend all our meetups this year, that after this year, if you give us an hour at every meetup this year, once a month, that at the end of the year, you actually feel confident when it has to do with e-commerce and WooCommerce.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, do we have other questions? Okay. Let me go to the comment. So one asks, is the booking plugin free or paid? What with WordPress, as you know, they are free and paid stuff. I think I use a premium one, but they are also free booking plugins. The one I use is premium, and I'm going to be showing us how that works. But there are also free ones to choose from. Okay, let's see. What other question do we have?
Yeah, I have a question.
Please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, like I have a website I'm developing, or it was actually a request from a client of mine that I should create a booking page for her. That, okay, people can come, want to book a 30-minute consultation, a 60-minute consultation, that they'll be able to pay before they can have access to that consultation aspect. So I was still looking at how I'm going to go about it. I've developed the site already, just that she wants me to create a consultation page for her, where people will be able to book a consultation, a paid consultation.
So there are different ways. There are different ways to go about that. And one of the way is, if you want to do it properly, you want to integrate a booking system. So if I'm doing it with WooCommerce, I will use WooCommerce bookings. And the way it works, let me see. I think I should have it somewhere on my, let me see. I think I'm going to have to share my screen. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can quickly find. I want to see if I can quickly show you that. Just a moment, I'm almost there. Okay, so found it. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is what one of the bookings pages on my website looks like. So you come, book a session, and then there's a thumbnail. So you can, the number of persons that want to join that section. So you can say, let's say 2 people, and then you choose the date. So it's just going to give you the calendar to choose the date. So you can choose the date, and then you're going to choose the start time. And then these times that are showing are times that I'm free from on those days. So I can block out some time that I know I'm not free. For instance, if I know I'm not free from 2 to 5, I can block that out, and someone will not be able to book that time zone. And then there are different options for presenting the calendar. You can present it as time blocks that someone just comes and see 5 o'clock, 5:30, different blocks, and then they select. And there's also an option to present it like this, that people get to choose a start and end time. So you can choose from 7 p.m. That's when I want this meeting to start, and then I want it to end by 7:30 or by 8 p.m., which is going to be 60 minutes, an hour. And then I can just, it's just going to calculate the cost automatically by the number of people. So you can see that if I reduce the number of persons that will be joining in, the cost will also reduce. So one way is using a proper booking system like this. If you check out, you're just going to see the payment gateway, and then you're just going to make payment. So one way to do it is to use a proper booking integration like that. Another creative way to do it is using a form system. So someone comes, sees a form, they have to, with this one, if you check out, you're still going to, enter your name and all this information. But the simple way is that you have a form.
The one you showed now is WooCommerce bookings, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can have a form that the person is just going to fill in their name, and then the time option could be a drop down that they select those drop down form fields that they select their time, and then they just pay for that form submission, and then that solves it. But that's just the basic functionality.
Okay.
All right. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else has a question? Someone asks, how do you join the WooCommerce community? All right. It depends on where you are based, but let me do this. Let me drop my number. So if you send me your, give me a moment. Oh, Craig is actually in Lagos. So for you, what you want to do is to join the, I remember when, yeah, I think that's she said she's based in Lagos. I remember that correctly. So if you're based in Lagos, what you want to do is to join the Lagos WooCommerce meetup group, which I've shared. Oops, I sent that as a direct message to someone else. Forgive me. So if you're based in Lagos, you want to join the Lagos WooCommerce meetup group, and you can say hi to me, and then I'll add you to, say hi to me on WhatsApp, and then I can add you to, the WhatsApp group. If you're not based in Lagos, what you also want to do is to reach out to me on WhatsApp on that phone number, and then let me know that we are today's meetup. Let me know your location. Now the goal is basically to get WooCommerce meetup active in cities across Nigeria and Africa. So just let me know your location. Or what I need to do is to find people like you in that location, and then we'll get a meetup group started for you that will just have that you'll be able to come together and share on WooCommerce and basically learn from other members of the community. So that's my WhatsApp number there. And if you're joining us today too for the first time, if you're joining this meetup today for the first time, please also say hi to me on WhatsApp. I want to connect with you personally. I want to have your contacts, and I also want to be able to guide you on your e-commerce journey if you're interested in e-commerce. because I've seen people get involved in Ponzi schemes and then they say it's e-commerce. So it's crazy the things that we've seen. All right. So do we have any other question? Kufre said thanks for your knowledge. You're welcome, Kufre. I'm so glad you joined in. And I think I've answered the rest of the questions here. Taiwo wants the YouTube link. Let me see if I can quickly get that. Let's see. That joining. And okay, so yes, the YouTube link. I think I've answered the rest of the question here. Oh, forgive me. I think Taiwo wants the YouTube link. Let me see if I can. Is someone watching on YouTube now? You may want to mute yourself. Okay, I've muted because I'm getting feedback. Someone is watching somewhere. And all right, so thanks, guys. I don't know if there's any other question you'd like me to answer, or can we wrap it up? All right, thank you. What I would like you guys to do is to get involved, in the meetup, in the community. Let's make this beneficial to all of us. The folks at WooCommerce have a lot of expertise. They have resources when it has to do with e-commerce, and I want to be able to bring those resources, those expertise to us, so we can learn from their wealth of knowledge and then use it to build stuff in e-commerce. But for that to happen, it means that you all have to get involved. You have to come to the meetup on time. You also have to share the meetup with your friends so they can get to know and join in. The more people we have, the more activities we have, the easier it is to get these meetups to more cities, and get more resources from WooCommerce. I want to be able to get us discount coupons from the community, because some of you go to buy maybe plugins and so on, and then you feel it's a bit expensive. I want to be able to get discount codes for members of the community, but that will also depend on the activities that we are seeing, the interest we are seeing from the community. So thank you everyone for joining today's meetup. It's been the WooCommerce Lagos meetup. Sondo Cafe is my name, and it's been great to have you all. We had Peter joining from I think Lagos. Peter is a web designer. We had Cletus, we had Taiwo joining from Ilorin, and we had Vera, we had Ifeanyi joining, Abraham Collins, Enekan from Uyo. We had Craig and a host of other people. So don't think I forgot your name. Kufre, it's been great having you all. Thank you so much. So we'll continue the conversation on the WooCommerce Lagos meetup WhatsApp group. If you have further questions, ask on the WhatsApp group. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, I dropped my phone number earlier on. Message me and I'll add you to the WhatsApp group. I don't know why my messages keep going as direct message. Sorry, Ebenezer, I meant to send that to everyone. All right, so that's a wrap. Thank you everyone for joining, and bye for now. All right, so bye. Thank you, thank you, thank you.